Hey everybody, welcome back to Change Your Perspective, Change Your Awareness, Change Your Life. Dr. Michelina AF here, hashtag that felon doctor, here to talk to you about adversity. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention in adversity the 8 types of conflicts which exist in life. Okay. And actually, we learn about this through literature. As some of you know, I'm a former English teacher. I used to teach high school. I taught from 2012 to 2019 at one of the best high schools in the state of New Jersey and in the country. I was a top teacher there until I was not a top teacher there. And so if you know some of my story, you know how that ended. But for 6 years, I was real good at what I did. And so when we are talking about life and literature, it's actually much more aligned than people usually realize. And people always ask, like, why do you read books? They're not real. When we look at things through a fictional lens, we have the freedom and the liberty to be as truthful as possible because everybody thinks it's a lie, right? So you will find so much truth in fiction because people think it's fake. So they'll just say what they say, right? It's like when you listen to music. Do you ever see or hear people getting arrested for their lyrics? Not usually, because it's just fiction, right? They're just lyrics. Of course, the lyrics have to come from some kind of experience. And the same thing has to happen in like writing a book. Some author has to write from their experience. So literature, and I'm going into this because it's important here for adversity and conflict. Literature and the study of literature is very helpful to the study of life. So if you can understand these 8 constructs of conflict that exist in literary texts, and you can apply them to your own life, or I can help you apply them to your own life, it will be very, very helpful. So the 8 types of conflicts, and I'm sitting here because I want to have them here. So they're in my notes here because I want to make sure I don't miss any. They are person versus self. All right, self versus self conflict. I'm going to go into depth on these over the next week and a half. Like I'm going to do a little bit of a segment on every single one of these. But right now I just want to overview them. Okay, so this is just kind of an overview in our adversity discussion, which I'm going to extend because I love talking about adversity. Person versus person, right? This is a person versus somebody else. Person versus nature. And if you've ever seen Castaway, right? That's like Tom Hanks is a good example of person versus nature. Person versus society, right? If you have read The Crucible, maybe if you remember that text, John Proctor is versus society at large. And if you read The Great Gatsby, right? Gatsby is against society at large to some degree. So a person versus God. There are a lot of people and texts that have this kind of intra-personal conflict between them and God or a higher power. Person versus fate. You see this in things like Greek Odysseys, the Odyssey, Greek epics, rather. Person versus the supernatural. So the things that exist outside of them. And I'm really excited to talk about that one. And person versus technology, which you've seen in things like I Am Legend, I think it is. That's Will Smith's character when like the artificial intelligence comes in. There's a whole bunch of that now that's coming in. And so we could analyze pretty much anything and everything literarily down to these conflicts because stories aren't interesting if there's no conflict. Life isn't interesting if there's no adversity. And I'm sorry to say that because people don't like to hear it. I was actually just talking to someone about this the other day. It's like, if you had sun all the time and you had warmth all the time, you would take it for granted. That's what happens, And so we're getting it whether we want it or not, right? Metaphorically, but we do need cold snowstorms, rainstorms. We do need crusty weather to appreciate the good weather. It's not different in our lives. We need the crusty times to appreciate the good times. Any storyteller, any person you admire, any good movie, anything is going to be heavy laden with adversity that is overcome time and time and time again. It's just the way of life. It's just the way it goes. So we're going to be talking a lot about overcoming adversity in this next little bit because it is something I'm very passionate about. It's something that I'm very good at, and it's something I have a lot of experience with. So, I love transformation, but transformation comes because usually, a lot of times, we've gone through some kind of adverse situation and we've come out differently because of it. It's not true of everybody all the time, but a lot of times it is. So I'm going to recap them quickly again. Person versus self, person versus person versus nature, person versus society, person versus God, person versus fate, person versus supernatural, and person versus technology. I will be covering them here over the next week or so, so stay tuned. I want to challenge you with this now. Which ones do you feel in your life you struggle with more? Your girl struggles with person versus self. Myself, I am my own damn worst enemy all the time. So person versus self is a big one for me. Person versus society is a big one for me. And person versus supernatural is a big one for me. Those are my 3 biggies. I don't know what yours are. I don't know if you know what yours are, but I hope that you can figure it out and that you think about it, if not today, over the next little bit, because it will help you figure out where your patterns are, where struggles are, where there's adversity in your life that probably continually recurs. I have found that everybody, to some degree, has a person versus self conflict. Most people have a person versus person conflict. Normal people don't have a person versus society conflict. That's if you're socially well adjusted, you're not going to really have that conflict. If you're me, you've always had that conflict. I was actually talking about that a little bit today. But yes, we all have conflict because we all have adversity in our lives somewhere, somehow. And so we'll talk more about it. I will help you apply it to your life, and hopefully you will learn lots of things about yourself, and you'll be able to change your perspective, change your awareness, and eventually change your life from what we're talking about. That is why we're here, to help give you that reflection point. If you are ready to take some action on transformation or overcoming adversity, I've got courses up right now. They are excellent. They are on acornsandoaks.vhx.tv. Course that's in the bio, and also you can just check it out. And I will see you here next time. Make sure that you subscribe, grow the channel, tell your friends, hit the bell if you are liking what we're bringing here. Bye, guys.